Hello, everybody. It's Kevin Quast here today, come to just share a few comments today. Jim Fitzsimmons is with me. How you doing today, Jim?
Hey, doing good. Thanks, Kevin.
Good. So we thought maybe, Jim, we ought to talk about about COVID and the vaccine a little bit. Maybe just updates on some things. Did you have some things you wanted to share?
Yeah. So just a couple things. First things first is we're seeing the trend continue where the case count at Swift is continuing to improve. So it's very similar to what we're seeing across the U.S. with a handful of exceptions. But at Swift we're seeing improvement on both positive COVID cases as well as quarantine. Both those are trending in the right direction. So that's great news. A couple other things we wanted to hit on is there's been a little bit of chatter, people asking, and we've made this comment a few times. We're going to keep making it until everyone gets it. That Swift will not require the vaccine. So there's no mandatory, requirement to get the vaccine, and there won't be. And so it's still a personal choice, and that's how we feel that needs to be. And the company is not going to make that decision one way or the other for you. Now, I will tell you that states are starting to open up. And so Arizona just recently opened up. I know Mississippi, Alaska, that's probably not going to do much good for us, but those three states currently are opened up to all adults. And then I just read yesterday that Texas is going to open up by the end of March. And so we're only about 6 days out from, Texas being a state that anyone, keep in mind, you don't have to live there. And so if you're going through a state like, say, Arizona, Mississippi, or Texas in another week, you could sign up to get the vaccine in one of those states just as you pass through. A couple apps that I have found pretty easy to use, and I'm aware of some people getting, having success, including myself, is the Walgreens app, and then Kroger.com has a website where you could go on Kroger and get signed up at any of their pharmacies at their grocery stores. And
Walgreens is national, so it should have pretty, a lot of coverage for Walgreens, I guess, huh, Jim?
Yeah. Same thing with Kroger. So you got Kroger, which, there's several stores that roll up underneath that parent company, like Fry's would be the one here in Arizona. And in other states, and keep in mind it varies by county, but I think a lot of our states right now are already opened up for essential workers. And so as a truck driver, you would qualify, if there's an option where you go in there and you select, if there's an option for essential worker, you could definitely select that and you would qualify under that state. Now, keep in mind, there's just so many different counties and different states that we can't manage that. And so it's going to be case by case. And that's where we're asking drivers to do that on your own.
And Jim, you bring up a great point there, about the difficulty of and challenges of managing this. We, at Swift and at Night, really our whole combined entity has been working closely with ATA and with other groups on trying to provide a practical solution for drivers. And so, for example, there was a request made of CDC very recently to create a national network at truck stops where any driver could come in, and we're asking for the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot, in other words, the one shot vaccine, so that you could hit a truck stop, hit that clinic, get your shot, and be one and done. And so, and then we're continuing to try to find solutions internally at our locations and some of those kind of things. For various reasons, the clinics aren't a very good solution for us. The few that we have throughout the country, but we're pushing on. In fact, Jim, we got a question about that. Can you guys get some vaccines for some drivers out on the road? And hey, we feel your pain, and we're with you 100%, and we're pushing, and we're talking to begin CDC through these organizations to the political folks that we're connected with, and we're pushing. So we continue to do that. By the way, if anybody wants to ask a question, we love getting questions for drivers. So just leave a question on the Facebook page or YouTube, and if you're watching live, and we'd be happy to address as many questions as we can today. Jim, sure grateful for the progress at Swift, aren't we, on the case count? Oh my gosh, it's you don't have to look back very far to see a really big number for current active cases, and we're down to, I think, 30 or 40 cases now. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been trending the right direction for really since we got past Christmas and New Year's. Is when we saw the spike. No surprise, you had tons of people gathering. And then ever since that spike, it's just been continuing to to trend back down, which has been great.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also grateful that today at Swift we do not have a single serious case. In other words, we track active cases and we've been very engaged. But when somebody gets really ill and hospitalized and it's a quote serious case that where it could be life threatening, and we watch those and really close and stay connected to families. And gratefully we don't have a single one of those today. So,
yep.
So that's a great thing. Question came in: if I get it, can I stop wearing masks? Well, masks are personal decisions. Jim, what your thoughts are on that? But it's a personal decision in my view. And today at Swift, our positions are still we're maintaining masks and social distancing and all those kind of things in our facilities until we get a little bit further in. But beyond that, it's personal decisions. I would recommend that customers please wear a mask. I just think that we're better off to err on the side of being careful as opposed to not, if that makes sense, and just being considerate of those around us. So Jim, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I know just this morning in Arizona, our governor, Doug Ducey, changed the rule where we had a mandatory mask requirement, and that just went away. So now my understanding is it's still up to, the individual businesses can have that requirement. And that's a great point, Kevin. I think that if you're going into a customer, regardless if you had the vaccine or regardless if you're in a state like, say, Texas or Arizona that doesn't have a mask requirement, our customer might still require that. And that's where we would just ask that, hey, you follow along with what the customer's asking you and just wear the mask when you're on the property. And obviously when you get off the property, you don't have to wear it. And that's kind of the rule I've been doing. I've had my first vaccine. I go the first week of April for my second vaccine. But I still plan on, if I walk into a business or wherever and they've got a sign on the door asking you to wear a mask, I'm just going to wear the mask because it's like, I feel like it's just accommodating what that business is asking, and it probably puts their people at kind of ease where you got people that are sensitive to the subject and you really don't know who's sensitive, who's not. And so I guess as this kind of evolves, you'll probably see it get more and more lax where less and less people are wearing masks. And as that happens, we'll continue to follow suit at Swift terminals. But, if you're walking through the yard, I don't see any reason to wear a mask. If you're in the building and you're in a driver's lounge that might be crowded, then, hey, it's probably a good idea to wear a mask. But I think a lot of this, Kevin, like you said, gets back to a personal decision and just doing what you feel is right at the time.
Yeah, that's great advice. Great advice. So no, Jim, I got my shot last week too. Now I got it because of my age. I'm over 55, which was the cutoff in Arizona. So apparently for some, younger, healthy, strong guy like you to get the shot, it's obviously loosening up in some places, right?
Yeah. So I fell under the essential worker category when they changed that in Arizona about 2 weeks ago. And so the day they changed it, I went online and kind of got lucky, I think, because I know those slots went fast, and now it's opened up to everyone. My understanding is within the first 20 minutes of going live yesterday, all the slots were filled, and so now it's kind of every time they get more orders scheduled, they'll make more appointments. So it's going to take a little while, and so a lot of this is just going to be kind of luck. But I do think using an app, like the Walgreens app as an example, is a good way of doing that, because you could just keep trying until you kind of get lucky and get an appointment.
Yeah, good point. Well, Jen, should we move on? I think we're good here on COVID.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see any other questions on it.
I want to touch base just ever so briefly on another topic related to our owner operators. Let me begin first by saying how much we appreciate our owner operators. Owner operators are a key part of our business, and we appreciate the capacity that you bring to our customers and to our business. And we love you, and we're grateful to have you. And there's a risk, there's a threat to the model in our space, this owner operator model, in this PRO Act that is legislation that is going through the approval processes right now. So now our as we watch this closely, it passed the House back in March, has not passed the Senate yet. As we listen to observers, people who are watching the House and the Senate and this legislation, they're not anticipating for it to get passed in the Senate. That's the anticipation, and I hope that's right. We view this as a threat to the current model in the industry. and a model that I think many people have found to be very valuable and to be very successful as independent contractors. And so we're highly supportive of that, of this model, and are supportive of the efforts to keep that model in place. And hey, we continue to enhance the model, right, with contract rate increases and all of those kind of things. And you'll be hearing more about those kind of things coming. So, but hey, we're staying close to it, and we're watching it. And hey, in a worst case scenario, if something were to happen and it got through, the Senate as well, then hey, we're gonna work through it, and it won't be obviously a SWIFT issue alone. If it does, this is a national issue, and so we'll see what impacts that could have, and we're committed to working through whatever comes our way. So if I were you as an independent contractor, for any of you who might be listening or watching this later, I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. If something changes, we'll deal with it then. Something my dad told me a long time ago: no need worrying about something that isn't real yet, right? And so it's not real yet, and so just keep moving on, and we'll keep working through that. Jim, any thoughts from you or comments?
No, and I think probably the most critical piece is, hey, we're trying to do all we can at Swift to continue to grow our owner operator program. And I've heard, it's kind of funny on social media. It's amazing how much fake news you see when you start reading through some of the comments. But there is no intention at Swift to try to reduce or restrict our owner op program. Our goal is to not only keep it where it's at, but continue to grow our program. So obviously we have to do what we have to do with in regards to being compliant and dealing with legal issues. But just wanted to throw that out there, that our intention is to continue to grow the owner operator program at Swift.
Yeah, great comment. Had a question: if it passes, how am I affected? And hey, that's a question that we really can't answer, because we just don't know what it's going to mean. If it does pass, we'll see how it plays out, and hey, there could be appeals. Anyway, who knows what happens with all these kind of things? So anyway, probably enough on the PRO Act. And hey, we're watching it, and we'll continue to update as we learn more about it. Jim, thought maybe we could just conclude with a little comment on safety performance at Swift. What are your thoughts there?
Well, hey, we just continue to get better, and quite honestly, that our performance continues to get better month after month. And so even as we went through, you think about some nasty storms in February. There was more pileups and freezing weather than I can remember seeing, maybe forever. Like, I don't know if I ever remember having storms that severe that impacted us, like it did in February. And I'm proud to say that we weren't involved in one pileup, and all those pileups that were all over the news and all over social media. That to me is a testament to our drivers doing the right thing and knowing when they should be on the road and knowing when they shouldn't be, and making that decision to get off the freeway and wait out the weather long enough so it is safe to move on. So hats off to all the men and women out there, driving for Swift, that continue to make the best decision on when the truck should roll and when it should stop, because that 100% is your decision on when that happens. And clearly we're starting to see the impact in our safety score. And we've been seeing that now for really the last 3 years, but I think you're going to see that continue to pick up speed because we're seeing month over month improvement on that.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. And gosh, we're so grateful for that. And I'll just tell you, this crash basic, which is one of the, obviously one of the basics that isn't real public. We're well into the upper percentiles today, and I promise you, there are very few fleets in this country that are safer than we are at Swift. When you look at that metric compared to our peers, very few fleets in this country that are safer than we are, and there's some big names in that are behind us. So hey, we appreciate so much and what that means to our team members who drive, to our team members' family who drive, including our independent contractors, and what that means for all of us. And I wanted to especially call out and express gratitude for our mentors, for those of you who are training the next generation Swift drivers. And keep in mind, these safety results aren't because we stopped training. We all know that. In other words, we're still training, but we do a great job of training drivers. We take safety very seriously, and we have outstanding mentors, and we work with our mentors to get even better. And we appreciate all of you who mentor at Swift and train. And hey, we invite others who really have the heart of a teacher, if you will, as Dave Ramsey calls it, Jim. But if you that desire to teach and to instruct and to help people to improve their life and to be able to drive a truck efficiently and safely, to join the mentor program. And we're seeing some progress in our student counts in a very difficult recruiting environment. We anticipate more progress coming, and we're going to need more mentors, including those who may not be part of Swift today, but are experienced driver and love to teach, and love being at a place where experienced drivers can feel at home and feel welcomed and valued and have great opportunities. And then we invite you to join us in this effort. But most importantly, again, we appreciate all of you who are doing it today and who have done such a great job and continue to make progress. So we're grateful for all of you. Jim, I think we've covered all the questions. Any comments from you?
Yeah, there was just one here. There was a question. Daniel Carter asked if we're hiring, if we start hiring out of the Bronx, New York. I'm not sure, Kevin, if obviously we don't have freight in and out of the Bronx, but we do have a terminal in Syracuse, New York. So if you're interested, I would recommend calling that terminal to see, if you got the ability to leave a vehicle there at that terminal. Obviously, we could definitely run you out of Syracuse, and we could figure out maybe if there's an option of if you don't, how we could try to work that out. But another thing here, I just wanted to point out, we had Ricardo made a comment that he wanted to thank Swift. He just crossed 11 years with the company this month, and wow, a 1,000,000-mile driver. And so,
way to go, Ricardo!
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, that's a home run there for sure.
Swift has more million drivers than anybody I know, by the way, for what it's worth. Especially when you look at company drivers and owner operators combined. Our 1,000,000 milers at Swift would be one of the top 100 fleets in the country. Just our 1,000,000 milers. And so, outstanding work by Ricardo and all of our experienced drivers and all their good work. So, hey, appreciate everybody so much, and appreciate your time, and hopefully this was helpful, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.